Awesome. Hey, Angie.
Hi, Brent. How you going?
Good, thank you. Thanks for joining us on our Ray White podcast that we've got moving along lately. Part of the, I suppose, intent for today is to talk all about you. You're a wonderful friend of mine and you have been for a very long time. Super successful businesswoman and a great mum and a great wife as well. So it must be a juggling act at times. And I think that, as I was alluding to before, sometimes when you run your own company, we forget to praise ourselves and acknowledge just how far we've come and the things that we've done along the road, along the journey. So we started doing this with a couple of people from work, and I found it to be very useful. Aidan in our media team said that he really loved the chemistry that happened, and we've recruited some really good people off the back of it. That's not the intent of what this is for, but I said to myself, I'd love to do that and expose the world to some of my friends that might be a bit too humble at times. So that's how I'm sort of starting it. So welcome, Angie. You obviously run a very good company called Lifehouse Design. And I want to talk to you about your profession. Where do you think your industry's going? How you started? All that kind of stuff. So if you feel comfortable to get vulnerable in this open setting with me, please do. I'll ask questions and we'll just go from there.
Cool.
So
Sounds
tell us a little bit about you. Yeah, so your name's Angie. It's not an Alcohol Anonymous sort of session as well, so you can have fun with it.
I'm Angie. I own a company called Lifehouse Design. I've been an owner of the business for about 5 years now. And before that, I worked there for about 13 years, on and off, part-timer. I jump around and do a lot of things, which is probably what helps me take on this role as business owner and juggle it all, because I've always been used to juggling things. I used to work for a landscape architect at the same time when I started, and I think that really helped bounce things around. I get stagnant easy. I don't like being bored. I don't like things sitting still. I like change. So I think that really plays in and helps when you own a business to keep things moving and to have goals and to, progression.
One thing that stands out to me there is you're also a wonderful mother. You got 2 beautiful boys.
2 boys.
3 actually, including Marsh.
Actually 5. We've got 2 dogs as well. Very overrun in our household with boys.
Yeah. And the boys are how old now?
8 and 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a good year. I mean,
Marsh is...
They're self-sufficient now, but also not.
Yeah. So you started becoming, because I'll never forget the conversation that we had when you were toying with the idea of wanting to do it. And then obviously preceding that was the natural things that happen in the stresses of owning a business, and saw this little bit of a roller coaster sort of curve, you want to call it. In you, and you've always been such a bright, bubbly person. You always bring lots of energy, and there was a period of time where the energy was quite zapped out of you.
Oh, yeah.
And we we're going to go over that today, but I guess, so building designer, let's chat about like what you do. What does a building designer do?
You know, before I was a business owner, I designed houses.
Yeah.
You know, I researched materials. I was a really big sustainability nerd. I loved anything that was trying to make the world a better place, trying to make the industry a better place, and trying to fulfill people's wishes and goals in life so that they would move into this house and be like, this is kind of the dream, to wake up every morning in a space that makes me feel inspired. It was so good. It was the end goal. I was so happy. And then I became a business owner and I was like, what have I done? Now I do tax, I'm a people manager, and I don't get to design anything.
Yeah.
But
all the fun stuff's gone.
It takes time to realize, but no, hang on, I am the business owner. I make that choice.
Yeah.
And that was that turning point for me. When you were saying that low I was in, I'm not a low person. I'm a very can-do, super happy all the time kind of person. And when I was in that low, I was like, something's got to change. Something's got to shift. What's making me not happy? Being the business owner and what that role sort of entails, I had to change that and say, I need to employ admin. I need an admin person that takes over all the admin for me so I can go back to building design. And now it's great.
Yeah.
Now I've found my groove.
Yeah. So I would say that's solution focus, which I feel like you've always been someone that finds a solution in not necessarily a problem, but in a sticky situation, which is where you're in. And I always found it interesting why people want to run a business. And I think, not talking about myself, but I obviously come out of the military and went straight into running my own business. I didn't really do a 13-year tertiary understanding about anyone else's business. And it was sort of just like...
you went big too.
Went big early. But I also had a wonderful business partner as well, where it was just two young guys. So I'm interested as to the mental shift. As you worked there for 13 years, there was clearly something that you wanted out of your career that you may or may not being fulfilled just working there. Not that there's an issue just working anywhere, because there are times as a business owner, I wish I worked for somebody else.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, things like personal leave, that's not a thing when you're a business owner. Annual leave is until the phone rings. So stuff like that. But what was the mental, because, you know, your boys would have been 5 and 3 then, which is a very interesting time, because one thing I say, and obviously we've got a lot of mutual friends, but obviously with Tiff and James and their kids, you know, like I always say, they're only that age once. So how hard was that moving from a very loyal, even though you jumped around, but a very loyal, passionate building designer employee to wanting to be running the show in the same company whilst being a mum and still trying to be a good wife and still be a good friend? Because there's something's got to pull, and you sort of lose something to gain something. So let's talk about that.
That's actually a really good point. And I think for a lot of people, that's something that someone needs to say to you. Owning a business doesn't need to be stress. It's not like you go into a business and go, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to lose myself in doing so. For me, it was owning the business so I can keep myself. It was like buying my job. My previous boss had a heart attack, and it became this point of like, right, what do you want to do? Do you want to come in and be a partner, or do you want to take over the business? I think I might want to get out, but I don't know what that goal is. So we fleshed it out for about a year. And at the end of the day, I had to put everything on the line. You know, I had to say, where do I want to be? If I'm not here, if he retires or they retire, and I don't work here, where would I go? Do I go to Bendigo? Do I work for one of the architects in Bendigo? Do I then lose that kind of control that I've had, where I am the only principal designer, where I am in total control? If I want to take time off whenever I want, I could take it off. I had really flexible hours, and they were, you know, we loved each other like family, my bosses and I. It was really a close-knit thing that we had going on. It was working really well. If I was to leave and go to work for another architect in Bendigo, I would lose that completely. You're like back to the bottom of the food chain, got to work yourself up again and make a whole lot of sacrifices. I wouldn't have been able to work 3 or 4 days a week. I wouldn't have been able to start at 10 a.m. so I can drop the kids at school and leave early so I can pick them up from school. You know, you have to kind of earn that respect back all over again. So I weighed it up. I even asked my parents, I'm like, you guys are at retirement phase. I've got 2 options here: buy Lifehouse or buy the carpet shop. They've got a successful family business.
They do.
And it's
Drive
worked well.
past it all the time.
It's old school. There is so much scope for growth.
Still use the manila folders.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's like going into a 1970s bloody crime investigation office in there. The paperwork's unreal. It's wild. But I even set out a business plan. I wrote a business plan for their business. They don't have a business plan. They just wing it because they've been doing it for so long, and there's so much room for growth. So I wrote out a business plan for them about how I can buy their business and make it more successful. And at the end of the day, after we were all discussing, they offered the business to my siblings and thought, well, it's only fair if Ange wants to make a play for the business, we should offer it to the siblings. And I just pulled out. I was like, that's not where this was going. I came in showing, balls and trying to move things forward and give you guys a succession plan, and you rip the rug out from underneath me. I'm like,
pardon the pun.
And and this is not a power play between siblings.
Yeah.
Me and my siblings, we're tight. I don't want to fight with them.
Yeah.
So that's when I went, right, whilst I don't think Lifehouse would be as successful as the carpet shop, I know it isn't. Like I've crunched the numbers. I know it's not, but I knew that it would give me a future of freedom, flexibility, passion, and growth, availability for growth. So that's what kind of ultimately led me down that path.
It's interesting because you come from a business family. As you said, your parents run the very successful carpet shop, manufacturer, whatever. And you didn't follow suit in the family, like none of your siblings have done that. You've all very educated. You've gone done your thing. Do your siblings run business as well?
No.
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 And do you think your boys will as well?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you talk about business plans and you talk about you wrote the business plan. You realized that there was more to running a business than finance, and that's what I find truly inspiring about you, and I find it so refreshing when we catch up. There was actually a moment we hadn't spoken for a very long time, and you come up to me in the gym out at Gurry Wanyara, and you're like, "Oh, Brent, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh my God, there's Ange again." Because running a business can take away. It can at times take away something, and sometimes something's, as I was saying, something's got to give, and that it's just awesome. So you went into this lull. Why do you reckon it went into a lull? Was it just the change in
shift? That was
job
the real, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen it with my husband as well. He's changed careers, and he went from being on the tools to being in the office. And like, man,
Completely different.
With men especially, and not having people to bounce off, the depression hit. It was just like, okay, I've been physical and on the tools, and now I'm not.
Yeah.
And now I'm having to learn a new trade.
Yep.
I know my trade, but now I'm teaching it. It's a whole different can of worms. That was the same. So I went from designing, thinking that, right, when I own the business, it's just I get more money and I do the same thing I do anyway, but not really.
Yeah.
All of a sudden there's like 500 emails that, Robin used to filter through. So when I would get to them, it was just the filtered emails. It was the tax stuff that I thought I knew and it was all in place. And then tax comes and it's not. All of a sudden, no, you needed to set aside $13,000, not $5,000. I was like, oh.
Yeah, the stress alarm bells go through the roof.
And it's the first time. It's the first time of anything gives you stress. And, you just got to ride it out.
That's right.
And Robin gave me good advice. She said it will always work out. This business is a successful business. It has a good reputation. And you know what you're doing. Just trust the process. It will always work out. If you go in negative, you're going to get stuck in this lull and it'll all crash and burn. But if you give yourself that mentality of it will always work out, it's like your brain finds the path that is going to make it work.
Yeah. It's just to run down that road a little bit more. I was chatting to Rory the other day and we were talking about something and I said, 5 years ago, we would have dreamt to be where we are today. We just got to figure it out, and that's the thing with business is mindset and confidence and being positive. You forget the impact of how much that presence has on others around you.
Yeah.
So if you're, I say this all the time, you see online people like, oh, you can't fill from an empty cup. You see so many people say that. That's been around for centuries. Or, if you can count your most loyal friends on the palm of more than one hand, you're the most wealthiest person in the world. There's a reason why there's all these stories about how it goes, and business is just one of those things. Sometimes you forget that if you walk into work and someone says to you, how are you feeling today? And it's met with, oh, I'm living someone else's dream, or you worry about that person, or you worry about how they're tracking. And as a leader, geez, it's tough sometimes to not want to just be honest and say, what, I'm having a day. Yeah. Like, sorry, Aiden. Like, but, or, the boys are doing this, or Marsha and I didn't have, or, my friends, so this, but if you can just say, you know what, it's just a tough day, not a tough year, or it's just a bad bash statement, but it was actually a good one because it meant you made money. That's another thing. People go, oh, I've got to pay all this tax. And it's like, yeah, but look at the revenue that you have. So how exciting is that you can do that?
It's the same as being a parent, I think. You wake up every morning. Well, I tell my boys to wake up and say, you're a lucky boy.
Yeah.
And it's this silly little thing. I don't know what meme I heard it off, but I'm a lucky boy. If you wake up and tell your brain, I'm a lucky boy, your brain thinks I'm a lucky boy.
Yeah.
People aren't lucky. People used to tell me all the time, you're so lucky. You win everything. Like you win all the colouring competitions. You win all of this stuff. You get to go everywhere. I'm lucky because I make my own luck.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids that you make your own luck. I had to be there. I had to put in for that competition. I had to stay up late all night doing that. I had to Google something and see what someone else was doing and go, well, they can do it. Well, I can do it. It's you make your own luck. And I tell my boys that. You wake up in the morning and say, I'm a lucky boy. And it just, even smiling, forcing that smile on your face rather than waking up being like, oh, I can't get out of bed this morning. It's like,
But
wake up and
the
go, "Come on,
difference
keep
between
going."
the higher echelon people like yourself is you would, when you were in that rut, you made a conscious change to not stay there,
Yeah.
which
Ugh,
is
hated being there.
it's,
Horrible.
it's like feels gross. It feels
Yep.
gross talking about it, but we've
Yep.
all been there and we all go to those places.
And I hate taking other people's rubbish with me.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, I will try and fix your bad day. I'll be like, right, let's go for a coffee in the office. Nah, I'm not having any of this in here. Come on, let's go get some bloody chocolate or some cake next door.
Yeah.
We got to shake this off. And when we come back in, we are literally going to stand at the door and go and shake it off, because when you walk back into that office, today's going to be a good day.
Yeah, that's
and you can
right.
only make it a good day if your headspace is in. Make it a
That's
good
right.
day, and it palms off to everyone else in the office.
Yeah, and if it's not genuine though, it stands out like dog's
Yeah.
knackers, doesn't it? So that's another thing. So talk to me then about, so how many people in your business now?
I have 3 employees.
Nice.
And then I co-share my space.
Yep.
Just because I'm a yapper.
Yeah.
And I love to yap. So I found a couple of other people that also,
Like to
another
talk.
small business, love to talk and
Yeah.
wanted to share a beautiful design office. So we have a beautiful office.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have 2 more people in there. They're landscape designers. And
Yep.
they just sort of fulfill. We've got this now holistic kind of design thing going on. If I can get an engineer in there, even better, if anyone knows any engineers.
Start tagging all the engineer people in here.
It's just, it just feels it's a really nice space.
Yeah.
And it shares the burden by having another business owner in there with me.
Yeah.
They all leave. We have Friday wines.
I know.
We're going to make a
Video called
podcast
few
about
times.
this. Yeah. Called Friday Wines, where we whine about all the funny things that happen during our week. But everybody else leaves and Gary and I just chat business.
Yeah.
And it's nice because I don't have a business partner. Gary doesn't have a business partner. My husband doesn't want to hear a thing about it.
Yeah.
And
which is fair enough.
And you don't want to burden other people with the hard things.
Yeah.
So to have Gary there, it's like we share each other's burden without actually sharing each other's burden.
Yeah.
It's like a verbal, emotional burden without being a financial burden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is hard because, I've got lots of friends that run businesses, very big ones too, and some of them don't have business partners. And I feel like my role is to help provide that layer of support for them to talk about it, because it's a puzzle. It's like snakes and ladders. That's probably the easiest way to explain it.
It's a good way to explain it.
And it's a game.
Yeah.
When I say, like, I feel like life is a game. I feel like you play the game well, good things will happen to you. If you don't play the game at all, you don't get the reward. Or
you know what? Like snakes and ladders, sometimes you hit a bloody snake and you go backwards a few steps, but you got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if you just keep moving forward, you hit a ladder and you're like,
That's just triggered a thing for me, a bit off topic. When I was in Cambodia, they play this game called Shots and Ladders. And at the bottom of the ladder, you've got to have a shot of tequila, chili tequila as well. So you might not be able to walk forward after a few of those. But I guess...
How many shots?
Yeah.
How many snakes do I get before it's game over?
So what's the goal for, you write the business plan, you've got 3 people, you now want an engineer, so you're starting to get momentum. Because the next 5 years, in my eyes, even though you've been there for 18 years, but you're now part of the business, you're a key driver, key person of influence, you're the go-to person. The next 5 years should be super exciting for you, but it's also... Your boys are about to become teenagers. Like, there's lots of, so
hard.
How's it going to go?
That's really funny because people talk about the goals in business and writing business plans. I've written a business plan 3 times in 5 years. The first time actually was just firming up what was already there and making it mine, because at the start it was babysitting someone else's business. And then it was turning it into mine. Then it was, right, well, how do I want this to look? Let's firm this up. And then the last one was, what does the future look like? What is growth? How many people do you employ before it's too much to manage? Do I make any monetary gain out of employing more people, or is it just more stressful? What's the point of that? So I had to sort of write that out and go, I can't see growth in what I'm doing unless something shifts. So how do I turn what I have into something else? So we had to look at diversifying the business, which is, especially with COVID, when things get locked down, people didn't want to build anymore. Interest rates rose. People freaked out. They don't want to build. Our market shift, we had this real middle class sort of group of people that were happy to build and really passionate about the things that we were passionate about, they dropped off when the interest rates rose. You're left with people trying to break out. Those middle class now became low income. You know, it sort of changed. The shift, there was a shift because there was less money in the bank. Now it's left with the upper echelon that have a lot of money that want to build. And then the middle class trying to go, oh, hang on. $1 million used to be a mansion. Now $1 million is just a regular 4-bedroom home. It's
Unbelievable.
such a strange thing. Yeah. So I had to sort of shift where the business focused. And it wasn't a bad thing because it's kind of what I always wanted to do anyway.
Well, I was going to
Looking
say
at
it's probably
furniture
a good
looking
thing
at-
probably because indirectly you want to be doing that higher end stuff.
And the designy stuff.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
people need money to be able to afford.
And what's
that.
the end goal? Do I want to work 5 days a week, 9 to 5 for the rest of my life? Is that the goal? Man, that's never been the goal
No.
for me. From the moment I had babies, I worked 4 days a week. And once I realized this is living Barry, I couldn't go back. So, which is why I was worried that if I was to work for an architect in Bendigo, you know, would they be as accommodating to just working 4 days a week?
We talk about deliverable outcomes all the time, and it's very hard when people have a limited belief in that, or I'm going to say the word institutionalized by the way that they're bred or surrounded by, like, oh, you have to go and do this.
Yeah.
Whereas I would
you
say
have to earn this much money.
Yeah.
Or that is what being successful means.
Whereas if you had, you know, hey, this is what we want to achieve, and if someone achieved that in 2 days, I don't really care, like, where they are or what they do.
Yeah.
So, so in 5 years from now, if we can try and get into that mindset, like, what does life look like for Angie McLean?
So that was the balance. What does 5 years in the future look like for the business? I had to really stop and reflect and go, is that what's important in my life? Is the business important in 5 years' time? In 5 years' time, do I want to take a day off work a week? To me, it's more important. I've traveled enough to know what happiness looks like. You know, you go to the poorest parts of the world, happiness isn't success. Happiness is having a full cup. It's friends that love you, being able to fish on the weekend, being able to do your own gardening or do things that you love, things that bring you joy. And for me, work's part of it, money's part of it, but there's a whole bigger part of it, which is family and travel and, homemaking. I just love gardening. Yeah. I love drinking wine and gardening together. It's a great thing. I even pulled out Marsha's chainsaw on the weekend, and as I was about to start it up, I was like, Marshall's going to kill me for using his chainsaw. He was away camping. Sorry, Marsh. And I was like, no, I can't use the chainsaw without wine. So I went to the fridge, got my plastic wine glass, poured myself a glass of wine, sat it down, pulled up the chainsaw. I'm like, sip, cut down this tree. I'm like, this is living Barry. You know, that brings me joy.
Yeah.
If my muscles were too sore, could I take Monday off work? Yes, I can, because I'm the boss. And that was a conscious choice that I made to find the balance between work and life.
Yeah.
So the future of the business needs growth. It needs to get to a point where I can step down. I would love to be at a point in the future, short, long term, any point, that I could have a passive income. So supervising, managing, but just supervising. That would be the end goal.
Yeah.
So that I could take more time to do things for my family and for myself.
Well, that's really pleasing to hear. I think it's, if you had your time again, what would you have changed? Because I feel like there are some people that have reached out in the last two of these said, one person just listened to this like 6 times. So there are people that really do get something out of this. And I think for a female in your industry, please take that the right way. Real estate is male dominated, and I hate that. You'll notice in our business that we're 60-40 female to male ratio. I feel like, sorry guys, there are things that women can do better than guys, and I feel that there are things that guys can do better than women. And one of those things that women seem to do better is juggling things and time management and being organized and stuff like that. How does someone avoid that lull? That's probably because everyone goes through it, and it's like, are you in go phase, or is it just an adjustment to understanding that the lane that you're swimming in now it can be like a tornado, or it can be like a pond. Like, is it understanding that staying in your lane and adapting the new skill set, and that because you look through it with different binoculars when you're sitting in a different seat, I reckon.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid the lull moving forward for someone who's like, you know what, I'm a building designer at the moment and I've been there for 10 years and I want to open my own. How do they, because you went into a like really spot.
Yeah.
And for someone who's like super like up here. Yeah. How do we avoid that for the future?
I think it's really important to learn, which is something that a psychologist told somebody that I love dearly who was going through a really big lull. And it was information that they got. And when they told me, I was like, God, that's smart. Like, that's such a good way to consider life, was that we always wear hats, and the hat that you wear is not the hat that you always wear. We were talking about it earlier, you know, your heavy metal music and the bands it used to be and the emo that I was when I was, you know, 14 to 16. It is still part of me. It is who I am. Yeah. And you go through this crisis identity, and what's it called when you...
Midlife crisis?
No, when you feel like you shouldn't achieve it and...
Self-sabotage?
No.
Underestimating your ability?
No.
How long have you got?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
And it's all about the hats that you wear. So as a mother, I need to put my hat on and go, I'm allowed to be a mum and not just a business owner. I need to stop going, I'm stressed because I can't get the work done because I want to hang out with my kids. Right now, stuff work. Change your hats. Take your work hat off, put your mum hat on, just be a mum. And when that hat's on, give it 110%, because that is your job right now, is to be the mum. And, you know, when the weekend comes and you're away from the kids, you take that mum hat off. You don't have to be mum right now. You're allowed to be with your friends. Get loose, you know, let it get hairy. That's fine, because you're allowed to be your personal, your own self. Yeah. That's actually really healthy. And when it comes to Monday, you take that own self hat back off and you put it in the cupboard and you try and pretend that no one can see it when you put your suit on. And that's cool, because now you're boss. You put the boss hat on and you give boss 110%. But the moment it hits 5 o'clock and I'm off the clock, please don't call me. There's a reason I don't give out my mobile number, because I'm mum again.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think, you know, if you are a man or if you don't have children, you have that flexibility of being able to take it on. And even if you are a parent, sometimes you still want to be able to take on that flexibility of being a business owner and taking those calls at midnight. For me, I struggled. That's what burnt me out. And I had to really go, okay, what stops burnout? Take off the work hat. It's a hat. I'm the boss. I can take it off. I can be mum now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And feel that softness and feel that vulnerability.
Yeah.
And, you know, little kid hug you. It's really sweet and it softens you.
I think underlying from all of that, the best message there that I'm taking out of that is, whatever situation you're in, be present in the role you're meant to be playing in that moment.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we're going to the pub and we're having beers, we're in the friend zone and stuff like that. But
and give your friends their attention that they deserve.
Yeah.
Message your friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't ignore them. Message your friends. Right. Because one day they won't be there if you keep ignoring them. So make sure you put that friend hat on. Like, it's important.
Do you ever feel that you're running at half pace?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Why do you reckon that is?
I'm permanently sleep deprived.
Yeah. Do you think that's because you wear so many different hats?
No.
No?
I think I just have always had insomnia.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe a little bit. And I've tried to work on it. And I think that comes back to, no, I just still have insomnia. My brain just won't switch off. It just thinks too much. And you just learn. And I often think, you learn to run at half sort of percentage.
Yeah.
I nearly said something that came out rude then.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. Don't hate yourself for that, because you're doing just fine the way it is. But imagine if you could go at 100%. Like, that would be unreal. I just can't.
It's because I think if you got to 100 or you leveled up, the next 100% would be further in front anyway.
That's what I tell myself.
I'll just share like another couple of learnings over the last week for me. Like, my business and the people within our business, with real estate, there's plenty of different ways that you can sell a house. With building a house, there's probably only a certain ways that a house can be built. Like, there's not 100 different ways in terms of foundation, structure and all that. But with like real estate, you know, people sometimes think rewriting the Bible is fun. But one thing I've
That's so
been,
funny hearing you talk about that
Yeah.
because I think when you think about someone else's profession, I think everybody thinks exactly what you're thinking and everybody actually goes, no, I think it's a reversal.
yeah, it's just fair. I think people want their opinions. I'm probably, this is going to work mode. I don't really have an opinion. Friendship mode, I'm very quick to voice my opinion, but at work I don't. But one thing I was saying yesterday to one of my friends, we were talking about, we've got auctions coming up this Thursday. We've got 2 more events for the rest of the month, and we were looking at how we're always going to be better. And I said, can't we just admit that we're going really good at the moment? Why do we always look for something?
Stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
Let's try and reinvent the wheel.
You can build on that though.
We can. But one thing I looked at, I was thinking, we're running a small company in the grand scheme of things. We're running a small company.
Small.
Well, if you compare it to China, we're small.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
And, always people say, oh, but we're doing this. I say, yeah, but I like to benchmark us against the best in our business.
Yeah.
But this is one thing I took out of yesterday is I said, we're sitting there worrying about, if a customer comes in and they want to have 3 or 4 drinks because their auction's going up and they're stressed, is that in line with the budget and blah, 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 blah. But then I looked at the NRL Pacific Championship Cup yesterday. I watched that in the afternoon. So I don't know, you're not probably familiar with this, but it was Samoa and New Zealand in the final yesterday.
I bet they were hot.
They're hot. Yeah. They're fit, big dudes, big hair like you, dark features. Anyways, and at the end of it, I actually messaged Dad and I said, geez, for an NRL massive business, their post-game award celebration was absolutely terrible.
It was rubbish, was it?
It was rubbish.
Budget.
Like, the budget was no good. Looked like someone just hang up. And that really resonated with me yesterday because I was thinking to myself, and going back to what you're saying there, you don't have to be perfect all the time. If the audio at the auctions buggers up, do something else.
Yeah.
I was calling auctions before Aiden and the team were around, and we were calling them. I'll never forget, Jordan and I, we called an auction out in Charlton Barung Road. Barung, do you know where that is?
No.
Ages. We had no money. We had no listings. We're just trying to do what we could to find something to sell. And we called the auction out of the back of my car. We didn't, it was windy, didn't have the beautiful, big, nice cameras and all this like we've got now. Tablecloth over like there, had all the forms there, sold sticker, and we sold it. It was great.
Yeah.
But I think as the world moves so quickly, the expectations of everything goes to a new level. Now, I just put the NRL down. I'm sorry for people that are looking at that. But yesterday, for me as a business owner, it took away from the moment was one of the greats in the game was retiring. It was his last test playing for New Zealand.
Yeah.
And all I could think about was how their post-game things. Isn't it interesting
Budget
how the
ceremony.
world's like? Yeah, isn't it weird how the brain changes? And because you're a bit older than me, even though you look younger than me.
Am I?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
Oh, yeah, I'm 38.
and it's interesting how you get to your late 30s, and I'm sure it changes when you get to 40s and you start thinking retirement phase. And it's like, I feel like what I do today is either going to have a negative, neutral, or a positive impact on what it looks like for me in 5 years' time. And I think that's what winners do. And lastly, I'm so glad you spoke about, you've traveled a lot, which I have, which is awesome. We can tick it off the bucket list. We need to do plenty more traveling. But, one thing the other day was like, if you can put your hand up and say that you've got a fresh set of clothes, water, and a roof over your head, you're in the top 10% richest people in the world.
Yeah.
But when we're in that world, we're thinking about what we don't have.
Yeah.
And poor Aiden would have heard me say this so many times, but comparison is the thief of joy. That is my most favorite quote. And, I used to compare myself to people, and I used to be like, how come I don't have that? What's wrong with me? Versus, gee, look how far I've come.
Yeah.
And it's just that mental shift.
So yesterday went to this open house, certified passive house that we were opening, was G-Lux Builders. And afterwards they took me to their house to check it out. They've just got certified. He's a builder. He's built his own house. He designed his own house. And whilst I looked at it, I was like, every house I walk into, there's so many things that I would change. It's just I've got a very critical mind. It's how I fix things. It's not pulling it apart. It's to be bad. It's pulling it apart to find solutions for things. And I looked at it and I'm like, wow, this is like a $2.5 million house.
Wow.
They're my age. They've got kids the exact same age as me. They're living in Warrandyte with this house that is like unimaginably beautiful. And then I thought, geez, the mortgage on this. Geez, I don't have a builder husband. You know, like
Sorry,
you would
Marsh.
have to have got an inheritance to have been able to buy a property in Warrandyte, to buy a block of land in Warrandyte and build. I'm like, why am I comparing myself to this?
Yeah.
Like, whilst this is beautiful, I don't want that mortgage. And there's 100 things I do differently anyway. Stop comparing myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because if you do, all you'll do is feel low.
Yeah.
Whereas the last thing, sorry to just keep going with this, is I still do say to people all the time when they say, oh, you know, your company is very successful. The success of the company is defined by the people that are in it.
Yeah.
So if half the workforce left tomorrow, our company, in my eyes, would not be successful, because success for me is around longevity and sticking together and digging in when it gets hard and looking after each other. But one thing I always say is always a company that's better than us. And there's always a company that's not quite yet us.
Yeah.
But if everyone wants the best for everyone, you know, when I go to list a house, which I'm not really on the tools as much anymore, but I'll always say to people, please go and get 3 other people to have a conversation with you. And if we're the right fit for you, we take the work.
That's what I say too.
But,
We've
yeah.
got to be the right fit.
Yeah.
But you also have to strive for something. If I didn't get to fill my eyeballs with the beauty that someone else can create, where do you get inspiration from if not seeing it?
That,
you know?
and that's
I want the
that's
inspiration.
true.
Don't compare myself.
Yeah.
Go, that would be nice to have, but
Yeah.
I don't need it. And I find success in other ways. I do not want a big mortgage. I do not want to throw all my money into that.
Yeah.
But you need inspiration as well. You need mentors, you need goals, you need aspirations.
And the other thing too is, like, if you think about positive energy, which you said, and you said to your boys, you know, I'm a lucky boy. You know, you just need to say, I'm a lucky person on Thursday night, Powerball, 6 mil, then go buy the house in Warrandyte and everything's good again, you know. So, but awesome.
You got to be in it to win it.
And I just wanted to publicly praise you and how inspired I was as a friend, but also as someone who watches lots of businesses, and I'm constantly researching, and I'm like, what a terrific person she was to just go through that dip, come out the other side. She's got a wonderful business. She's happy again. Marriage life's good. Being mum's good. That always has its challenges. Everything has its challenges. You're flying. Where can we find you? What's the address of Lifehouse Design? Where is it?
We're in Castlemaine in the mill.
Yeah.
Plug.
In the mill.
In the mill
And
in Castlemaine.
That's just near. There's a brew house just there, isn't there?
There's a brew house.
Brew house.
Shed shaker.
Shed
Yep.
shaker. So it's a really vibey, cool place to go.
Such a vibe.
There's a really good bakery there. Not that I know, but there's a nice bakery there. There's fish and chips is pretty good there as well. And near the lake, it's not far. But I just want to say thanks for joining. You know, go forth and conquer. Next 5 years should be the best 5 years of your life. So thanks for coming on board.
Thanks, Brent.